Welcome back. It's still the amazing conversation here on sexual and gender-based violence. 16 days of activism. NOSAC and its partners are making sure that the conversation is delved deeper. We've had the first session where we had some victims or survivors who have shared their in-depth story with us. Of course, they'll join us again with their advice, especially and final ways on what we can do better. But in the second part of the conversation, I'll be speaking with professionals from diverse fields who will be helping us to know that, of course, you can report. Of course, your mental health is important. So we'll be speaking with Mr. Peter Mente Amadou. He's a psychologist and also the executive director for Total Life Enhancement Center Ghana, TOLEG. And for the purpose of this conversation, they are right behind Luxury Restaurant in Tamale, right? So if you want professional services, you can get in touch with them. Of course, we'll have him give his address properly before we wrap up on this conversation. And also ASP Mrs. Vicentia Abuaje. She's a Northern Regional DOFSU coordinator here in the Northern region, helping us to understand, all the legal processes on how to manage that. And Mr. Inusa Idrisu, he's a principal investigator for SHRAJ. So we have all the different aspects needed to resolve or make sure that anyone going through sexual and gender-based violence have the right avenue to report and also seek for counseling. Thank you for joining me, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Okay, so let me start first with ASP, because that is always the first thing we ask you to go to anytime there is an issue to go and report. ASP, are there issues on reporting? Are we afraid to report? And looking at the cases that come to you, just give us an overview of what has been happening in your office.
All right, thank you very much. The people are not afraid to report cases. They do report, but there has been a lot of interference. The moment they report the case, you see people from the palace, assemblymen, and other stakeholders coming in to withdraw the case with the explanation that they are close family members.
Wow.
So that's the challenge that we have. But we have been doing our best. We send most of our cases, the serious cases, to court.
Wow.
However, if it is a minor case like assault, offensive conduct, that one, if somebody comes in to intervene and the complainant agree for settlement, that one we don't have anything.
Problem, yeah.
That is a felonious offense, like rape, defilement, causing harm. That's why we don't agree. We don't consult to it. We push it to court.
Okay. Let me come to SHRAJ, Principal Investigator. I like that title already. So in investigation, there are times that you have to investigate the situations and all that. What has been happening in your office? Are there some challenges, especially from the victims? And this issue on interferences, do you face that at that side as well?
Thank you very much. When you look at issues of gender-based violence or domestic violence, you will understand that it happens, or we have it in a form like either intrafamiliar gender-based violence or extra-familiar gender-based violence. Well, when you look at it in the form of interfamiliar gender-based violence, perpetrators are family members.
Okay.
They are family members, either the husband or the mother, the child, or even a sister or an auntie. So the problem has to do with when you report, what are the procedures that the investigative bodies will need to take to ensure that at least the victim is safe, the victim is protected. There are certain challenges because once issues of gender-based or domestic violence happen, the first thing you will look at is whether there is the need for you to separate the victim from the perpetrator. Now, if you intend to separate the victim from the perpetrator, that is, you're looking at the safety of the victim and then how you will be able to get the victim to support in the investigation process. But if you are not able to separate the victim from the perpetrator, it means the victim stays with the what? The perpetrator. And then they coach the victim, and they even connive and come together to say that, no, we are no longer interested in the case. That is what Madam is referring to. So yes, that is one challenge when it comes to issues of what? Investigation. The other issue has to do with, majority of our the gender-based violence or domestic violence, they are criminal in nature. And the punishment is either custodial or fine. And most at times we go for the custodial.
Yeah.
And if we go for custodial, then it means that if the perpetrator happens to be the breadwinner of the family, what happens to other what? Family members. You understand that?
Yes.
What happens to the other family members? So these are so many things that will come to play when issues of that nature happen, and then the victim finds herself in that particular situation as to what step she needs to take. But in all intent and purpose, we always advise that when it happens, you have to what? Report. You have to report. And then the reporting also, you will also understand that, in fact, it will need multi-institutional approach to addressing the issue.
Okay.
Issues of health comes to play, issues of psychologists comes to play, issues of the investigation, and even that of the social welfare when the victim is a minor. Now, also when you will need to go for medical report, you understand that you will need to pay. I remember yesterday I had to, somebody came, a medical report, and in fact he has to go and pay about 500 Ghana cedis. Assuming somebody who is not working, how does that person get money to pay 500 Ghana cedis? So sometimes you will even need to intervene to get an NGO to pay for the medical form for the victim. These are some of the things. So then when it happens that way, then the victim, knowing that she will not be able to get this thing, I mean, if the form is issued, she goes back home and starts wallowing in pain and be thinking. But we always advise that they should come forward. There are help everywhere. Even if you will not be able to pay, we will be able to get an institution to help you pay and to support you to pay. And sometimes we even talk to some of the psychologists to come in to provide psychosocial support. So these are some of the challenges I may say for now. But when we proceed, maybe there are others for us to talk about.
Okay, now to the main point. Psychologically, what are the cases that you hear about, you see, and what are some of maybe just patterns that you usually see, and later on what we can do better when we find ourselves in such situations?
Thank you very much for this great opportunity. I want to thank your organization for this initiative and your partner organization for bringing this together for the people of the North. I remember when you reached out to me, I told you I was going to do this because I'm very passionate about this. In actual fact, I should have been in Accra this morning.
Thanks for coming.
Event, but I had to call it off just for this.
That's true. So please, let's give a bigger one to him for us.
Because when I initially started with the idea of forming an organization, I said that I wanted to let my people understand basic things that we possibly have often not paid attention to. So I didn't want to be an international person and come to base and there's nothing. I wanted to be a locally grown individual. And that is the reason why I had to call off and to be here today.
Thank you so much.
16 Days of Activism, we started on the 25th. And the 25th was International Day against the elimination of all forms of violence against women. Then we are going to end this on the 10th of this month, which is International Human Rights Day.
Wow.
I mean, you see how well the world has actually understood the relevance of individuals who are going through one challenge or the other. So this discussion is very important from my perspective as a psychologist. In fact, when I was coming, I decided to write something. But what the three first panelists talked about are the issues I want to actually just take. Because these are the normal things we find.
Okay.
When I sat down there and they were talking, the first person, there was that issue of broken trusts. There was that issue of disappointment. There was that issue of abuse, the rape aspect of it. Then when we came to our father, I would say the courageous man who was ready to speak up.
Yeah.
The fundamental things that we have often not paid attention to. You see that he was hammering on the issue of relationship with the wife. These are the issues one never talks about. But this was one of the things that was eating him up. And what did we see? It led him to abusing substance. He went to the tire joint, he went to the sniff joint, and did so many things. The implications are there. So some of these things actually affect our well-being as individuals. Issues of provocation, he mentioned that. Then traumatic experiences, one aspect of family-based abuse or domestic abuse we don't take note of is the rippling effect on the younger people. If you don't take care, you raise children who also come to grow up and thinking that it is okay to abuse.
Yeah.
But that is not it. It is because of what they see. And we saw that happening. And then for our young adult lady, Madam Gifty, we saw the issue of moving from one place to the other. Parents are pulling. We as community members, how can a woman be sitting down and no man? You see some of these things. These utterances erode the emotions and erode the self-esteem of people. And so at the end of the day, what do? They end up forcing themselves into another relationship, possibly which will not work for them. And we have seen it in her own situation.
Yeah.
But you see, the issues are many. But even the support system that we have brought here for you, how many of them did we even explore? For the first person, they tried DOFSU.
Yeah.
So the legal part was given a little try. There was a religious part of it given a little bit of attention. And then she went to the hospital because of one challenge or the other. But when we come to even our second lady, the issues of hospital didn't come up. The issues of the legal perspective didn't come up. And now on our father, as a result of the written challenge, they went to hospital, they provided some support because there was physical injury.
Yes.
So they had to go to hospital. But see, the bigger one, the vacuum, which I often will describe as the area we have paid little attention to. It is the area that is eroding society and affecting bringing so much impact onto our people. The psychological part. Did any of them seek psychological services?
No.
3 of them, none. It's like 100%. And that is going to be the same if you go out there to sample a population that has experienced issues of sexual and gender-based violence. They probably don't even know that psychological support does exist. But what does psychological support does to the individual? It helps you rebuild yourself, it helps you reconnect, and it helps you build the resilience needed. And that was one of the reasons why we as an organization came to be. To bridge the gap in the services that are really not available in the northern part of Ghana. Because at the end of the day, many people will not find psychologists. And you see, this has brought us together. 3 of us on this panel, we have been meeting severally. Anytime at all there is issue about violence, and there's an issue about women, there's an issue about societal challenges, the 3 of us will meet. We've met at different
platforms. Wow.
Telling us that these are the things we need to be exploring and making use of. But many of the time, a lot of us don't make use of these things. So I have just based on the stories we heard, and these are the issues that were raised. I'm not even going into my presentation, and I'm going to give you the scientific perspective as to why we need to prioritize the mental health aspect of the issues of the sexual and gender-based violence. So I often have said, very, very important to go legal. But at the end of the day, once we are pursuing the legal path, let's not allow the survivor rot. Because then what we do is that we have incastrated the person. Then we say, okay, it's okay. The woman, there's no pregnancy, no infection, no whatever. But that woman have lost self-esteem, has been traumatized, and is in a state of depression for the rest of her life. Productivity is being affected. Our father mentioned that. At a point, he will sleep very late. going to work probably late and may not focus. So productivity. So the long-term effect is huge, which is the psychological part that I think that we all do need to pay attention to. But let's not also forget that if you don't make it a legal case, the perpetrators are going to continue. It's going to continue, and we will constantly have a group of people who are suffering. But when there's law, the incarceration come, the fining come, and people know that when I go into this direction, society will not leave me. Civil society will not allow this to pass. Then we will come to. And that is the reason why, as a country, beautiful laws for women, beautiful laws to protect all of us, but sometimes we are the interference. And that is the reason why sometimes they are unable to do their job. In my situations, sometimes because of the trauma, we don't get so much interference. But one challenge we have is that people don't even know that service does exist, and it's even important. Yes.
Okay. I think this has been very extensive. We'll come back to your detailed scientific presentation. But let me go back to Dofsu and find out what is the process of report. If a girl is raped, abused, or any form, what is the first point? Taking Tamale, as a case study in reporting it. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. When you are physically, sexually, or emotionally abused, you have to report to Dofsu. If you do not have Dofsu closer to you and you have any police station, you can go there and report. When the survivor comes to the station and it is a sexually related offense, we receive the case at the front desk, refer it for investigation. When the statement is taken, because it is sexually related, we issue police medical report form for the survivor to assess health care. And the medical form should be endorsed by a medical officer and returned to us. That is the chain of custody. So if you go to the hospital, the doctor will charge a fee, a professional fee. And if they are not able to pay, it means that they will not come back.
Wow.
It is domestic violence and victim support, but we don't have that support. So when you return the medical form and we arrest the perpetrator, we visit the crime scene, and then we take statement from all possible witnesses, and then we put the perpetrator before court for trial. So if the medical form is not returned, it's a challenge. If it is deferment is determined by age. So, yes.
So at what age do we say is deferment?
Deferment is, according to Section 101 of the Criminal Offences Act, it is having natural or unnatural carnal knowledge with a child, with or without consent. The emphasis is on the child. It is not.
So child, what age categorically?
Under 16.
Okay.
With or without consent. So if the child is under 16 and the child is a male, and the act was done through the anus, is the family. If the child is 16 and above, according to the definition of a child is a person under 18.
Yes.
So if the child is still under 18, the person is still under 18, and the sexual intercourse is through the anus, and the person is above 16, it is unnatural carnal knowledge. That is second degree felony.
Wow.
Yes, we have unnatural carnal knowledge, and then we have deferment.
Okay.
So, and if the child under 16 is a female, that is through the female genitalia, with or without consent, is deferment. You cannot say that the child under 16 years old is your girlfriend, and for that matter, you have the right to have sex with her. It is wrong. It's an offense to have sexual intercourse with a child under 16. And when you have sex with a female of 16 years and above without consent, it's rape. So during the intercourse, if the woman says stop, please, you have to stop, because at that point the consent has been withdrawn.
Yes.
And that one, the penalty for contravention is not less than 5 years, not more than 25 years. And that of the deferment is not less than 7 years, not more than 25 years. We also have incest. That is a male of 16 years and above who have sexual intercourse with his granddaughter, daughter, mother, sister, grandmother, commit a criminal offense. So we have to desist from having sexual intercourse without consent. Even with the consent,
it can be withdrawn at any time.
It can be withdrawn. And the lady, I want to touch on those who came first.
Yes.
The first, I don't understand the ban.
Okay.
So I will speak about the one who spoke.
She
indicated that the husband raped her. How can your husband rape you? Are you legally married to him, or you are just cohabiting? If it is cohabitation, you are not married. You understand? You are not married. You cannot say that all your children came as a result of rape. It's questionable. So, did you report or you didn't report? You said you were at Borga. So, this one should serve as a lesson to other women. If anybody has sexual intercourse with you without your consent, if the person is not your husband, because in Ghana we don't have marital
it's my husband, yeah.
If the person is not
We
your
don't
husband,
have, but I'm told that, well, I've heard that it can be read. The fact that the person is your husband, if your partner forcefully.
According to the law, we don't have marital rape. But we have never received, I've been in Jobson for a long time. I've never received marital rape.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
It was somewhere.
So if you haven't given your husband consent and he's forcefully has sex with you, even though you are legally married, you can't report that?
You can report, but according to the law, if you say married to your husband, you know, so the definition is having sexual intercourse with a female of 60 years and above without her consent. So yes, you can report, but you don't have marital rape. That's what I want to emphasize.
Okay.
You understand? And I've not received any case of marital rape.
Okay. Okay. Wow, then maybe we've been hearing wrong, because I've heard, there are times that you can even report your partner if you are raped, even in, I know for the cohabitation or boyfriend, girlfriend, those ones are there, but maybe I'm learning something very new today on that.
Because, when you marry, it means that you give consent to sex.
Okay.
That's the literal understanding.
Okay.
When you marry, your husband has the right to have sex with you. So I don't know when the force will come in.
Okay, maybe you are not well. It could be a lot of factors.
All right.
Or probably like she said, if you are drunk, etc. And it could be a lot of, and also the abuse. I can be scared that a man who can hit their own mother with a machete. I wouldn't know maybe at what point during the act he will want me to do whatever, and I won't consent, and he will just hold my neck and kill me on the
that
bed.
One is a threat of harm or threat of death. If somebody threatens you with a weapon to kill you, for you to do something, or the person is inducing or forcing you to do something,
not necessarily at that part.
You have to report.
Okay, so maybe
What
not
I'm
necessarily.
I've been with Johnson for a long time, since 2007. We have never recorded marital rape.
Okay.
No, the cases of rape that we have received is not it's between people who are not married.
Okay.
So that is it.
Okay. Let me go to Shraj. So with the reporting, phase and the investigation phase. So does it mean when you report to DOFSU, you have to report to Shraj? How is that done? Or what is your role different from DOFSU?
Thank you. Sometimes, as I indicated, gender-based violence and domestic violence are human rights abuses, but they are criminal in nature. Depending upon the degree of the criminality, the aspect of the criminality may be referred to DOFSU for them to, if it is domestic violence, for them to process that criminal aspect and then to put it before court. And then if there are no criminal aspect, for instance, if a girl is removed from school and then sent to marry, or a child is forced to marry. So in that regard, if the marriage is not consummated, it means that you may not be able to establish issues of either defilement or rape. So at that stage, the commission can still go ahead to do the investigations. But then, if the marriage is consummated, since there are elements of force in that marriage, or the child is involved, it means that the issue of consent is not there. Now, even if it is given at all, looking at the age of the child, the consent might be white. And for that matter, it is presumed that there is no consent, and then you may go ahead to process the kid for defilement if the child is below the age of what? 16 years. And then rape if the child is above 16 years, if she's forced to do that. And then I think Madam, the first speaker raised the issue about the husband not maintaining the child, and then she was being subjected to assaults and what have you, and then she was asked not to report. Of course, what society may look at is that they think that if you go to report, that your child will not grow up to be successfully. However, that is
that
not.
If you report your husband to authority.
That's how people believe, but it is not true. It's not true. Look, there is no religion that says that a father should not maintain the child. When you go to even the traditional religion, they even know that I am supposed to provide for my child. The Islamic religion too the same. The Christianity too is the same. So if you are a man who wants to hide under the cover of maybe the religion, that if they report to me, the child will not grow up to be successful, it's a lie. We have followed parents to pay maintenance, and I can say that some of the children have completed universities and they are productive.
Wow.
I know a whole lot of girls that when I started working with Shira since 2000, and I started with them at the primary school up to SSS. Some of them have completed universities, others have completed teacher training colleges, and they are working, they are productive. Some of their parents are calling me to thank me for even forcing them to pay for their maintenance. But as at the time I was forcing them, in fact, you would call them, yes. Man. So it is a lie. So my sister, if you say that your husband is working, he is not supporting your child, please, come forward. Come and make a complaint of maintenance. Look, if your child grows up, she will go and somebody will insult. If it's a boy, they will insult the child Sheji, and the child will run to the father. You understand that? The child will run to the father. So if you think that for now you are taking responsibility of that child, and that nobody, the parents are not doing anything, you wait till the child grow. He will go out and they will insult the boy, and the boy will go back to the father. So you better bring the father for him to pay maintenance, to support you, take care of the child. He cannot say that I have given you the child. No, you didn't drink water to give birth to that child. So you come forward, make a complaint, then we'll follow the man to pay maintenance. He will support you, pay the educational needs, and support the child.
Okay.
Do you understand that?
Okay.
So you can do that.
All right. Yeah. So let me come back to Dovsu, but I wanted to ask, maybe if you can just say that finally before I come back. So is it that with the reporting, do I report to Dovsu at the same time, Siraj?
No.
Or I report to one at a time?
Immediately the case is reported at Dovsu, even if you come to report to commission and we hear that the matter is pending at Dovsu, because we collaborate.
Okay.
We collaborate. We don't work in silos.
Okay.
We collaborate, and then we actually, even when the case comes to Dovsu and it is not a case they should handle, they also refer. So if it comes to us and it is not a case that we should handle, we also refer.
Okay.
And I think she knows we have been, and I even be called, even if the matter to court and what have you. We will
try
follow.
To refer. Yeah, I'm just asking for the purposes of those watching us.
Immediately you report to Dovsu. If they know that this is a matter for Shira, they will report you. They will refer you.
And if you also report to Shira and you know it's Dovsu, you will let them know. But you can report to anyone that is closest to you.
Exactly.
And they'll be able to, work together and complement the things they have to do. Yeah, Dovsu wanted to comment on the maintenance.
So I want to touch on the non-maintenance. If you give birth with a woman, and you are no longer together, that you have the duty as a man to take care of the child. Section 6 of the Children's Act states that no person shall deprive a child of his welfare, whether the parents of the child are married or not at the time of the childbirth. Every child has the right to life, dignity, respect, liberty, education, and shelter from the parents. So you can't say that you are no longer together with the woman, so you not cater for the child. And there are some people who live with the children, but they don't want to pay school fees. Yes, and when the woman talk about it, they assault
the woman.
Her, yes. We have a case at hand. The man refused to pay the child's school fees, and the woman went to the school to ask, and the man said the woman has disgraced him, so he beat her. She came with a reddish eye, with a contusion under the eye. Yes, and this woman is saying that she doesn't want the case because the man is the breadwinner. Look at that.
Breadwinner who couldn't win the school fees to be paid.
So what I'm saying is that women shouldn't think that the perpetrators are their last hope, so they will stay in an abusive relationship. No, people are abused, but they keep quiet. They don't want anybody to hear because of stigma. Please, woman, speak up. Woman, speak up. Don't let anybody kill you. You are there because of the children. You feel your presence is because of the children, and that for that matter, you don't want to report the man. One day, this man will hit you. You fall and you die.
Thank you. This man will hit you. The man will hit you and you fall and die. So I think that in all those conversations, just make sure that you save your first self, like yourself first, because at the end of the day, the worst that could happen to the person is maybe being jailed. The person will still be alive. In other countries, they can say that since you've killed somebody, they would also kill you. But I don't think we've gotten to that point here in Ghana. So always make sure that you save yourself, you save your immediate, supposed or hopeful victims, and make sure that we are all strong and healthy. Now let's get into your presentation on what is the first step. We've looked at the first step to doing reporting with DOSCO and SHRAJ on depression or emotional abuse and all that. What is the first step anyone has to do, whether they have a psychologist or not, before we get to that point? What is the first step when it comes to mental health?
Thank you very much. Yeah, so when it comes to the issues of mental health in the subject matter that we are looking at, sexual and gender-based violence or violence of any sort, what you should be looking at first is the hospital. They've already mentioned one of the things that they are looking for is to give you a hospital form, a medical form to go to a hospital. Then when you go to the hospital, I think the immediate things are always to find out, are there injuries? Are there other challenges? Then they will possibly be thinking about referral. And within the hospital system, we also have different levels of referral.
Okay.
So even if there was a rape issue, then you get to the hospital. What they are possibly going to be asking you is to take a folder, and when you have taken a folder, is to follow up to get your vital signs taken. They direct you to the medical officer, who will then listen to you and assess you. From there, they will refer you to the lab, or if they think they are broken bones or whatever it is, they will refer you to do any sort of investigation. Following that, when all these investigations are done, then the doctor may find a way of treating you, and after treatment, will write his report. Then, at that point, is an area where the mental health perspective comes in. Then they will say that, okay, with all that has happened, you may need the services of a mental health professional. And then they will now be thinking about a referral to the mental health unit, or to where they can find the immediate psychologist. So within the hospital system, these are the things that go on. When you then come to the mental health unit, and this area specifically to the psychologist, what we are possibly going to be doing is to listen to your story. And when we have heard your story, you see, because when you go through trauma, what happens is that there's some level of confusion, there's some level of disappointment, there's some level of worry that makes even people have challenges sleeping. So at that moment, my role and any other psychologist's role is to help you reorganize yourself. to build the resilience needed, and then for you to be able to think straight. Because when you go through these things, the frustration alone doesn't allow you to even make the right judgment. Whether should I report or not report? Sometimes should I continue with the case I've reported? Sometimes I, as a psychologist, will not force you up, but I will give you a reason why you need to be strong. And when you are strong and your mind is clear enough to make that decision or make those decisions, you can decide to follow or not to follow your process. But mine is to ensure that at the end of the day, you don't continue to be a harm to yourself and also harming other people.
Okay.
And then the psychologist's role also to help you to lift up your self-esteem. Individuals that have gone through any form of abuse, self-esteem is always down to zero. And once self-esteem is not there, I tell you, you wake up like our sister mentioned. She walks from one community to another community. Sometimes even the nature of the dressing, the way she even, you get disorganized. You don't even value yourself. That is where we will get to the point of saying that, please, it is true you have gone through an abusive situation, but is it worth neglecting yourself?
So,
all of us seated here, I don't know if anybody has carried his or her photocopy here and left the original book. Is there anybody like that?
No.
We are all the original. So in the situation in which I find myself, I should be thinking about what can I do for myself?
Okay.
And that is actually what psychology does for you. Psychology empower you. And so when the empowerment process is a change of mindset. And when that mindset is changed, I tell you, a lot of people can take the case very far because they believe that the justice I am fighting for is not for me, but it is a communal justice I'm fighting for. It is a regional justice I am fighting for, or it is a national justice I'm fighting. And when people get to that mindset, they can push the case very far. But first of all is to believe in themselves, and then they can push. So these are the things that happen. But when you come to also the psychologists, in fact, psychological services is not a one-time thing. I get people, they come to my consulting room and one session, oh, I am fine. They couldn't sleep. They probably refused to eat for days. I gave them reason why they should eat. I gave them reason why they need to take care of themselves. Then the next moment, they don't show up. And that you surely will not get full recovery if you just tried it once and then you feel a little bit of relief. It's like I am in pain after an accident. The pain's all over. Then you take a painkiller and the pain has relief and say that it's gone. The broken bone inside will not heal because you have taken a painkiller. So sometimes, let's stay in the mental health unit with the psychologist for a while because it takes a bit of time.
Okay. So in the hospitals, for example, TTH, do you have I'm imagining the cases that would come or we have. Is it free? Is it under, I almost said national service. Is it under health insurance? Once I come, can I request for a psychologist?
Yes, once you come into TTH, you can request for the services of a psychologist. The only challenge that many times people don't know that these professionals does exist. But you can make a request. Some medical officers do make, some health workers also do make referral to the unit.
Okay.
But as to whether it is free, natural fact within the hospital setting, sometimes because some people come and for some hospitals, like a big one like TTH, you have a general services charge that actually, when the facility is a bit generous, they just cover almost everything under general services. And so sometimes you walk in and with a little token is being taken care of. But I must admit that recently we got a few good news from the perspective of the National Health Insurance, covering a few mental health issues.
Okay.
It wasn't holistic. It wasn't holistic, but that is at the beginning. We really actually didn't even have it under our health insurance. Now it is being taken. We as practitioners, what we are asking for and advocating is hoping that they can become holistic, that anybody at all who need mental health services can simply just use their health insurance card to access these things. But beyond that, I remember about 5 years ago, we're about a first group of psychologists in the Tamale Teaching Hospital.
Okay.
And so we then took a step. These are issues that we see every day. And like Madam talked, because of the report, once you can't pay for the report, they can't push. It becomes difficult to push it.
Can't we put the report under health insurance or something? You know, I don't know.
Well, maybe this could be more of a policy discussion. But my point I'm driving that as a unit, what we started then doing to say that if there's an issue of an abuse, sexual in nature, when people come, we then took that bold decision, even in our unit, to say that we're going to offer that for free. For
wow.
Sure.
And that was a good step. And so anybody at all who comes and it was an issue of an abuse,
that's where at TTH.
Yes, that was
at the which department?
The psychology unit at TTH is found under internal medicine.
Okay.
So if you come to internal medicine, you find the psychology unit.
So the psychology unit at the Tamale Teaching Hospital have decided that, or have agreed that, when there is an issue of such nature of sexual abuse, they will not charge the victims to pay for a medical report. This demands a very big clap. Please, do you understand what that means? It means that more young people or women or men can report these cases and actually follow up on the cases. Because Doksu mentioned that when they ask them to go for the medical report, they don't come back. So please, let's do a bigger one for them. And then this one is going out to a shout out to the psychology unit at the Tamale Teaching Hospital. This is a big move. So if you know somebody who has gone through that and because of the medical reports bill, they are able to follow up on the case, please do well to go to the psychology unit at TTH and you get that for free. I wanted to highlight that as well. Okay.
Let me clarify that. Those who go to the psychology unit, they go there for psychosocial support.
Exactly.
Okay.
It is not for the endorsement of medical.
Exactly.
Okay, I get it, but I also just wanted to prompt them that, you know, that can also be done, so they can also get more psychological help as well. Yeah. Because we have established that people go there, you know, people go through these experiences and they forget to go to the psychologist for help. Yeah. So I wanted to highlight that they are able to give that service as well at no cost. Yeah. So I want us to take a quick break, and when we come back, we delve into more. Stay tuned. Growing up, it was so difficult finding answers to all the questions that bothered my young mind. As soon as I found my purpose and understood my mandate, I made it a mission to answer as many questions as possible, bothering young people. I have mentored, inspired, and helped young people unearth their potentials through the Martha Inspires Foundation. However, I feel it is time to bring the conversation much closer to you. We have you in mind, you the young person. With my team of experts, we bring to you the Reflection Show, a show that focuses on addressing issues young people face, helping them to unearth their potentials, and giving them nothing but the best avenues in helping them solve issues that they may face in their young age. Join me, Martha Inspires, every Thursday and Saturday at 8:30 p.m. on Truth TV, the Reflection Show, restoring hopes. Please, quickly.
Thank you very much. Mine is not a question, but more like a suggestion. So I was thinking, is it possible for the DOFSU unit to get a senior medical officer, to get an office for the senior medical officer at the DOFSU unit? So maybe when such cases,
you just examine them there.
Yeah, so the senior medical officer will just examine, because we had a case like that where we went, and then some of the senior medical officers were even discouraging us that even if we pay and then they sign, at the end of the day, there won't be any action taken.
All
so
right.
they can get them there at the DOFSU units.
Okay.
Maybe if not at the district, but at the regional
head
office.
We get your point, so she doesn't forget the first question. Okay. Please, you remember the first question?
Yeah, let me start from the last question.
Okay.
We have a police clinic, but the medical officer there don't endorse forms that the case is a sexually related case. If it is assault, yes, he can endorse. If it is defilement, no, he doesn't do it. You have to go to the government hospital. So we have a clinic.
Okay.
So the
first one,
the one-stop shop, we have it in Accra. We don't have it in Tamale. That one is at one place, a very nice edifice. We have not reached there, so we are praying that in future to be decentralized here, and we also benefit from it.
Okay.
And with sodomy is an English word. According to the Criminal Offences Act, Section 104, we have unnatural carnal knowledge. That is having sexual intercourse with a person through the anus or with an animal. So if it is through the anus and it's consensual, it is the misdemeanor. If it is without consent, that one is second-degree felony. So it is the same thing, but this one is English word. You cannot find it in the Criminal Offences Act.
Okay.
I hope I've answered you.
Okay.
Let me ask on the one-stop center.
Okay.
In fact, with the one-stop center, the one DOPSO they have in Accra, I think it was spearheaded by WAPCAS.
Okay.
They did it together with WAPCAS, and so in Tamale, the regional child protection committee wanted to replicate same. So we went and we had discussions with the teaching hospital, and then they agreed that there will be a doctor on call, but we have to get a place for it. So our thinking was that when we put in place that structure, we'll have a police officer there, then with social welfare unit of the teaching hospital, and then we'll have birth and death registrar to be in that place. So we actually contacted some civil society organizations. They supported. We have gotten a 40-feet container. We have mounted it. We have roofed it. We have sealed it and wired the place. We are just left with the finishing touches to finish and commission that particular structure. So when that structure is commissioned, when cases of domestic violence and then gender-based violence goes to the teaching hospital, they will refer it to that center for a medical officer to come and fill the form for you. In fact, they said they would do it for us free. That was actually the agreement we had with them.
Okay.
But the center is not yet in operation. So for now, we should be praying that we'll finish the center. When that is done, then we will also have that. But we will not have the court there, even though in northern region, they have now started the gender court. We now have a gender court in the northern region. But back in Accra, they have the center and the court. The court is in one a place where you will just go and get all these services, and then you will not need to move to a different place. But in our case, of course, you will get the social welfare officer, you get the police there, you get the doctor there, before the police will now pick up the form and then process it for court. So that is it.
So give us your final words before you leave.
All right. I would like to say that it is not only the physical abuse that should be reported. Any conduct that makes somebody feel constantly unhappy, sad, humiliated, jittery, you have to report. So if you are there with your husband or with your spouse, so that the man will not say I'm being biased. If you are there with your spouse and the person keeps calling you names, you are lazy, you smell, it makes you constantly unhappy. I don't want to eat your food. Are you a woman? Sort of. Please, anything that makes you unhappy, it is emotional abuse. You have to report. And if you are deprived of any economic or financial resources, you have to report. If you acquire the property during the marriage, and the property is a store, and it was agreed consensus by the two of you that the woman should man the shop. One day, this man will take padlock and go and lock it. You have to come and report. Don't say that you are going to the palace. No. Come and report. And you have to stop reporting criminal cases to the palace. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We've had conversations also with Shraj and DOPSO. Our next conversation will be personnel from the gender ministry for them to help us to understand, gender department. Let's take a breather.